We are going to look at first Mishnah of Kama. Yes? Okay, great. So, what do we look for in the Mishnah? We have the roadmap.
Case?
No.
The preliminary information, what you need to know before.
What you look for in a halach is one thing. No. But a Mishnah is a, what? It's a collection of halachas. Yes, so what do we look for in a Mishnah?
Central idea?
That's one. You need to have this in front of you. Or else after a while you'll know it by heart, so it's not a big deal. But if you don't have it in front of you, is that last week's?
Yes.
You have a couple of?
Yes.
Great.
Rabbi, could I trouble you to slide over to that way?
Slide over?
Yeah. Because,
This?
yeah,
I mean,
because you're
Why don't you
right
move
in
this
front of the
this
window.
way?
Because then someone will walk in and kick it.
Nah, he's not going to kick it.
Okay, yeah, fine.
When you finish with all of this,
Yeah.
where's all this going to go?
It's going to go on DVDs, and I'll give it to you.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and then you can take it and they
Put
can
it on the
upload it.
website.
Yeah.
Great. That's good. So, what are the objectives of a Mishnah? Yes, but that's not what I mean. Right? What are they?
The one case conduct principle.
No, that's the halacha.
Okay.
What's that? What's the roadmap for a Mishnah? When you look into a Mishnah, you want to analyze it. What are the objectives, right? What are the categories?
First, you want to get the Mishnaic statements.
Who?
The Mishnaic statement.
No. First you want, well, it depends. If you're learning it for the first time, you're right, yeah. You want to know what's called the MS, or the Mishnaic statements.
Mhm.
What does it say? And you just go through the halachas, right?
Mhm.
And what's the most important part of the halachas? The case, the conduct, and the principle. What does the Mishnah say? What is the case, what is the conduct, and what is the principle? So that's the Mishnah itself. That's the Mishnah itself. That's the halacha, right? Okay. Then you'll notice that most of the time, Mishnah does not have a principle. It doesn't say it. I mean, it has it, but it doesn't say what it is. And that's one of the problems of Mishnah. It doesn't have all the information really that you need to know. Because if you don't know the principle, what is a principle again? A principle is a statement, an underlying statement, that says, why is this the conduct to that case? Why? It answers the question of why. Okay? So that's what you have to have. It's the case, the conduct, and principle. And also it's good to know if it's min ha-Torah midrabanan. The authority is also very important to know.
Essential conditions.
Yeah, and there's a whole slew, right? Remember what all 8 of them are? What the 8 ideas are. Oh, you have the paper there. So
We have the paper there.
What?
We have the paper there set in
Yeah.
stone, so it's much easier.
Yes. Okay, so when you're learning a Mishnah, what do you want to learn? Now you're not into a halacha, you're into a Mishnah, which is a series of statements. So what do you want to know first? I mean, when you learn, you're going to learn the Mishnah first, obviously. What we're going to try to do is identify what I call the PI. What are the preliminary ideas? Remember, Rabbi did not write a beginner's text. And that's why Mishnah is so difficult. There's a lot of information missing. And therefore the Mishnah is really an intermediate text. So you have to know the PI. What's the preliminary ideas? What are those ideas that you need to know before you enter the Mishnah? And then the Mishnah takes off. It'll be either idea 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it is. And then you understand exactly where the Mishnah comes out of. So you have the preliminary ideas, 1, right? Then you have the central idea. In other words, all the halachas of the Mishnah are grouped under one idea. Central idea, which is very important. It is the organizing concept of the Mishnah. It's called the central idea. Okay? Then you want to know what's CI, the CIA. What is the area of the central idea? And that's going to help you synthesize it. Really place it into the structure. You know what I'm saying? So you have the preliminary ideas, central idea area, right? Then you have the Mishnaic statements itself. What are they? How many are they? For memory, it's very important to delineate how many are there. And then I've added SI, supplementary information, which is, are there any Rishonim and Achronim that are important to understand the Mishnah itself. So those are the 6 ideas that you will learn when you learn Mishnais. Or you look for. Now you may find them, you may not find them. What?
Basic idea, preliminary idea, central idea,
Area.
Mishnaic statement.
Mishnaic statements, what are they? The actual halachas.
Yeah.
Then the number of them, how many are there?
Okay.
Yeah, because you want to delineate them for memory's sake. And then besides that, then you look for what I call SI, supplementary information. Yeah, because there's a lot of information, places, they may bring you down a sheet of traces or some vision or whatever, and it may be very important to know because it's basic. You know what I'm saying? Good. So these are the 6 objectives that you really would like to know in a Mishnah. Okay. Now, the second thing you want to know is don't try to master everything in one shot. What you need to do is what's called layer it. You need to layer the Mishnah, or layer the Masechet. You want to go through the entire Masechta, right? How? You want to understand Pshat. What does it say? See what I'm saying? Because ultimately what you want to do is get the entire picture of what's being said. You know what I'm saying?
And what is he saying?
Who?
And then what is he saying?
And then what is he saying? Yeah. What is it? What is said? What is he really saying? Which means, what's the meaning of it really? Because many times the meaning is not clear from the statement. You see, which we saw last time. But what I'm telling you now is when you learn it, right, you're going to learn a Mishnah, but if you really want to acquire information or database, which is, then you're going to learn the entire Masechta. You're not going to learn one Masechta, you're not going to learn one idea. And you'll go through all the Mishnais with a very strong eye on organizing it. So you'll have to go through the entire Masechta, and you'll see, and then you'll ask yourself, what is the central idea of the entire Masechta? You see? Because every Masechta has an entire idea in it, really, And then you go back over again the first Mishnah, and then you go deeper and try to answer the rest of the stuff. It's like layers, 1, 2, It's called readings. It's the first reading, just to get the ground rules. What is it saying, basically? Then you try to organize that. Then there's a second reading and a third reading. And after a while, you've mastered the entire area, subject. It was gewaltig. It's tremendous. So that's how you would learn if you really want to get serious about having success in Torah. That's what it's all about. You want to be successful, or you want to be like everybody else. Remember hardly anything. Good. Now, so we did brachas, 2 Mishnais. We're going to do now what? We're going to do Bava Kama, first Mishnah. Who wants to read the first Mishnah? Who?
Just open it.
Oh, you want to do it?
No, but I did it last time. Let me just open it for you. Where's the belegde Chavadera here? Mishna. Zikim. There you go.
I don't need it.
Here, you want it?
Okay, Shana was Abba was Zikin, Shov, Vahabov, Amava Vahever. לא הרי השור, לא הרי השור קרי המוות, ולא הרי המוות קרי השור, ולא זה וזה שיש בין רוח חיים כהרי האש שאין בה רוח חיים, ולא זה וזה שדרכן להלך ולהזיק כהרי הבור שאין דרכן להלך ולהזיק, הצד השווה שבהן שדרכן להזיק, ושמיר עושה מלאכו, זה מאוחר שהזיק. Now this is where it gets a bit sticky for me.
Chav hamazik.
Chav hamazik yishalim tashlumi nezek b'meitav ha'oretz.
Hey, yes, great job. Now, what do?
We ask, what is the preliminary ideas?
Well, before the preliminary, we have to have some idea of the Mishnah, before we have preliminary ideas. But if everybody basically look at the Mishnah, so what are some of the preliminary ideas?
Well, it's talking about four nazikim. It's not this.
For mazikim.
For mazikim. The question is these are the total number of mazikim? I mean, if you just take the Mishnah.
No, there's a preliminary idea before. What's a mazik?
Okay.
You need to define these things. Don't take it for granted. What is a mazik really?
A person is dealing with the property belonging to the other in a way that is detrimental to that property. That means you have no rights over the property, and you are handling property which is not your own in a way that it is detrimental to the interests of the owner of the property.
Wow, that's an earful. A mazik is somebody who perpetrates a hezek. Brief. What is hezek?
Well, I can find it.
What is hezek?
Reduction in value.
Who?
Reduction
in value. Well, that certainly is a hezek. You know?
Was it, we said was
What is damage, really?
What?
I once said it.
Damage.
You know? Let them see if
Okay,
if he knows. What is damage, really? You need to define your terms. Because if not, you're going to mean one thing and I'm going to mean another.
Degradation.
So we know what a mazik is, right? A mazik is a perpetrator of damage. Very simple. But the real thing is, of course, okay, you perpetrate damage. What in the world is damage, really?
Interfering with an object, causing depreciation, causing a lowering of the value of the object.
No. Sounds shocking, huh? What you're saying is true, but it's not the answer. Now that's puzzling, isn't it?
If I'm sitting on a chair and swaying up and down and the chair breaks, then I'm I'm a mazik, and I've caused a depreciation in the value of the chair.
True. I didn't say it was false, but that is not a definition of basic.
You're talking about intention, lack of
You
intention.
are giving me a case, and I don't want a case. I want a concept. What is damage, really? Yeah.
Interfering with someone's violence.
Yeah, that's because you heard it. Exactly. Yeah.
Heard it where?
Here?
Yeah.
What is hezek? Hezek is to interfere with somebody's ownership.
So that's what I was going to say.
It's a denial, an interference, a negation, an intrusion, anything you want to call it. Right? It's an interference of bias. That's really what it is. Which means if nobody owned it, you wouldn't be a mazik, would you? If you go to a forest and you kill a deer, are you a mazik? No. Nobody owns the deer. I mean, you're a mazik, the deer will insist that you just damaged it. That's true. But who cares? The deer can't take you to Besdin. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Yaakov?
Yep.
Simple.
Interfering with the rights of the owner.
Oh, no, interfering with ownership, period. Now, what is ownership? That's the next thing we need to define. You see, you get slow. So we know that if you interfere with ownership, you're a mazik. That's what a mazik is.
Yeah, but therefore, isn't it really that bias is the first of the preliminaries?
Yes, but we have to work our way from the Mishnah. You're right.
Oh, from
No, but
Mishnah,
remember, we're learning.
Fine.
Now, I don't necessarily know this first because I need to work my way. You said, what I'm doing, I'm working my way.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. in the sequence of ideas, if you're teaching it, so you would say, okay, what is the foundational concept of this Mishnah? What is the foundational concept? Now everybody will tell you, well, it's hezek. No, it's bilus. Because without bilus, there's no such thing as hezek. So therefore, the fundamental idea is really bilus. So we need a good definition of bilus, which I've defined many times. What's bilus?
That you have a right, or at least an interest, in the property. Now, there are different levels of rights. I mean, for example, if it's Baal Tashkas and it's your own stuff and you destroy it, the Almighty has also got the bilus in the article.
True.
So it means someone who actually has an interest, at whatever particular level, in the property. I mean, for example, a house, right? I mean, a house owner may own the house, right? But somebody's collecting the ground rent. So if a
Too vague.
It means you are a stakeholder in the property. That's what it would mean. You have a stake in the property, or whatever it is.
You have control over it.
What stake?
You may have a right to walk through it.
What
You
do you
might
really
have.
have?
You may have.
Generalize it. Don't. A stake is a vague term. I need a clear, precise understanding of what bias is. Don't give me a case that illustrates it.
You
that I
have a
can walk
say
through my
in how
property.
the property can be used.
Oh, so therefore, what can I really do with the property?
You can do what you wish with it.
Okay, so I will use a word for that. The definition of bias is, it is a legal state. Because I want to say what type of an entity it is. Right? There are
I mean,
different
if
types
we're
of
not
entities.
legal, if we're not legal, then it's not bias.
No, it is bias. It's not
Why?
legal. What you mean, what's the concept of legality?
The whole.
I once said, what does it mean to be legal? What does it mean to be legal?
Meaning that.
What does it
this
mean?
isn't- It's not. Bias is not just I have an object in my hand and therefore it's in my hand, I use it. Bias is saying I have an object in my hand that I have ownership of it.
Don't use the word
I
you're trying to
have.
define.
Yeah.
The definition.
I have. Sorry.
That is a no-no.
I have okay. I have legal
Enforceable
rights.
That's it. Legality means I can enforce
Yeah.
in a court of law
Yes.
or by the governments. That's what legal means.
But if I don't have that, then that's not called bias.
Fine, fine. So far we say what? That bias is a legal state in which an individual has rights of control. There you go.
And also responsibilities.
No, that emerges from
No.
bias. Don't mix up a consequence with the definition,
Let me ask you,
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
see?
right? So a bias simply is, it's a legal state, therefore it's enforceable, in which an individual has rights of control. That means he can do whatever he wants. I can eat it, I can throw it away, I can junk it, I can give it away, I can transfer ownership, I can destroy it, I can do anything I want with it. In other words, the law recognizes that you control this object, therefore we call you an owner. That's about. Now, if I walk over to you and I interfere with your bias, I'm a masik. You see what I'm saying?
let me ask
You were right, but look at the difference. You see, it's simple, it's clear. Now, how many different ways can I interfere with your ownership? So we're going to now look at the various types of hezek. You know what I'm saying? How many ways can I interfere with your ownership?
let me ask you, the emotional damage, doesn't say
Emotional?
emotional damage.
Emotional.
Like causing somebody a nervous breakdown. Oh, let's say.
Okay, yeah.
You don't see this in the Mishnah.
You do.
No,
There
well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We do.
You do in a choivel.
Yeah.
If somebody walks over and punches you in the face.
Okay, that's a physical damage.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, there are other, wait.
It's Moshe's also.
But I'm
Yeah,
talking
well,
physically.
Nezik Shah,
Okay, all right.
Ripa Shev is
So you have side things that happen from the physical damage, but I'm talking where a person causes psychological damage to somebody, not using physical force, maybe by doing things in the side.
I would think boishes is
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah, there's also...
Isn't boishes emotional?
Yeah, I
Shame?
would say it is.
There you are.
Yeah.
So shame,
all
okay,
right.
then the question is, no, how do you measure shame? That's a different
No,
story.
no, I'm not talking.
But
I'm
shame
talking
is
about-
emotional. But I don't see,
But
Shame.
everything in the Mishnah has some physical action, right?
well, not physical, there has to be an
Some-
action.
An action of some type.
Of course, or else
Okay,
how in the
but
world do
we're
you
not-
do it?
or how about somebody doing something to somebody in an emotional way that causes that person to break down?
Fine, so that's called boishes. That's a choivel. If somebody walks over to somebody and embarrasses them, you know what I'm saying? Although that boishes is really part of the other four, theoretically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's a good question. You know,
But you
it's a
can
good
have
question.
you can have a bogus without anything else attached to it.
Yes, yeah, okay. So,
What
exactly, yeah. So, but anyway, again, let's try to be general first, you know? So we know what a mazik is. We know what hezek is. We know what bias is, right? Okay, so how many ways can I interfere in your bias? And that will tell us the form of hezek, because hezek has many interferences. So what's one? How many ways can I interfere?
With one's own body.
Who?
By using one's own body of damaging another person.
No. That's how many forms of mazik are there. I asked how many forms of hezek are there, in the sense of how many ways can I
Oh, okay.
interfere, right?
Okay.
How many ways can I interfere with your bias? So one, what's the first way?
Removing it,
Removing what?
Uh-huh.
the object its own,
How do you remove it?
take it away.
Oh, so what have I denied? You still have rights. I've not taken away your rights.
That's true.
So what have I denied?
Access.
Access, exactly. If I take away something, I've denied access or your ability to control.
Or your ability to use.
Or your ability, well, control includes usage and so on. Yeah.
Interfere with the access.
What's that
Interfere with
called?
control.
What's that mazik called?
The neighbor.
A ganaf. That's what a ganaf is. Why is a ganaf and a ganaf and a mazik? Right? Because he interferes with your ability to use it, your access to it. You know, that's one type of, you see? What's another way to interfere with your bias?
By causing a deficiency in the object itself.
Yeah, so
Breaking.
how have I interfered?
Damaging.
What?
Damaging.
No. Again, how have I damaged? Damage simply means that I've interfered.
Impairing my usage.
If my
Impairing
ox,
the person's usage.
if my ox kills your ox, how have I interfered with your bias?
Taking away
My what?
my
It's total
my
access.
ability to use this thing.
I don't have my object anymore to control.
That's total loss.
So I've interfered with my ability to control by removing the object. You see what I'm saying? So, which is interesting. A ganaf doesn't interfere with your
Right.
ability. He just he
Takes
interferes
away
with your access.
The access.
But I didn't remove your rights.
Mhm.
You can still control it, but I
Mhm.
don't have it.
Mhm.
Here, I've destroyed the object. There's nothing around to control anymore.
Mhm.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, you see, there are different ways, you see, of either I can take it away, which means you no longer have the ability to control, although you have the same rights. Here, I've destroyed your rights. Why? Because there's no object anymore.
Mhm.
So what rights? Rights to what? You know? Yeah, you could say, okay, you have a dead animal, so there's a limited way. Okay, but basically, what am I going to do with a dead ox? I can't even sell for kosher meat because your ox gored it, now it's straight. You know, so I can't even make steaks out of this. It's ridiculous.
So to the gun.
Sell it to the gun. Don't make steaks, right? Okay, you see? So that's what basically we're dealing with. We're dealing with a Mishnah that wants to deal with what? Well, now we're going to the Mishnah. So you're just not, okay, so we've got preliminary ideas. We know that the fundamental concept of which the whole Ezekiel is predicated on is bias. We know what hezek is. It's an interference of bias. We understand the different forms of hezek, correct? Right? And we understand what a mazik is. Now, great. Now along comes the Mishnah, and what's the Mishnah going to tell us? Can we ask? What's the Mishnah going to? You want to do me a favor? You want to sit over there so I can... So I can't...
Maybe slide.
Oh, I see.
So let's move a bit further up.
Right.
Well, you fell asleep and I didn't know it.
There you go. Problem solved.
Perfect posture.
Anybody who's out of the range of somebody teaching is suspect.
Say again,
Unless you've
please.
been teaching for many years.
What?
So
Yeah, no,
you grew up together.
I'm joking around with the guy, but yeah.
What did you say?
I said anybody who's out of my visual range is
A
suspect.
suspect. The usual suspect.
Yeah, those are the guys who want to hang out and fall asleep.
So you were beginning to ask me something.
Oh, yeah, no, okay, so look where we're at. We have the PI. We have the preliminary ideas now. We know bias is the foundational concept, right? Hezek is an interference in that. You know what I'm saying? We understand some of the forms of mazik, of hezek, and now we're into mazik, the purpose.
That would fit in with the
Who's the
idea of psychological damage, because we've got a concept of hezek re'ir.
Re'iyah?
Re'ir.
What is hezek re'iyah?
That means that you're not
No,
allowed to
that's
build, you're not allowed to, that when you build something, it must be in such a way that other people can't readily see what you're doing.
So what's the hezek? I'm not
It's-
doing anything to you. Hey, listen,
No, it's
you and
stopping.
I live
It's
together.
stopping.
You and I, we live in two different chutzes. I'm in my chutzah and you're in your chutzah, right? Okay. And but I have a window that's facing your courtyard, your yard, right?
Yes,
What's
but
the
knowing
hezek?
that I can watch everything that's going on interferes with your enjoyment of your property and your
Is what?
privacy.
Is what?
Knowing that I can see everything that's going on in your chutzah interferes with your enjoyment of your property. Which means
Your
that I have
enjoyment?
your enjoyment of your own property.
What is this, a psychological factor?
No, well,
Because if you enjoy that, that's...
the Mishna seems to think it is. Because
No, the
it
mission
tells you that
doesn't
you
think...
can't.
Wait, no. What? Usage. Enjoyment is a subjective
My
term.
usage.
You know, there's a lot of people that are miserable with their property. You know? So I can say, excuse me, do you enjoy your property? And the guy says, no, I don't really enjoy it, so then what do you want from me? Wrong word.
Usage.
That's it.
I'm interfering with your usage.
That's it.
No, but-
I have a, notice why? Because I'm a bond, right? And I have, therefore, what are my rights? I can control, I can use this. And when you look at me, I can't use this because, you know, I want privacy, you know? So that's the question. Is this damage? Is this enforceable? It is damage, but is this an enforceable damage?
Yes.
Well, that's the Gemara, that's the first mission of Bava Basra. Is hezek be a shmei hezek or not shmei hezek? Because the theoretical, I'm not really doing it. It's just that I can look, and so I'm a mazik by looking at you. What do you want from me? So is this enforceable? That I can force you to build a wall together with
Apparently
me?
it is.
I'm not saying no, don't get me wrong, right? I'm just saying this is the concept here. This is the fundamental problem in that Mishnah. So obviously the Mishnah says yes. You say, but what's the basis of that? The basis is that I'm a mazik. Why am I a mazik? Because I can prevent your usage. How do I prevent your usage? By observation or by seeing. You see? So, okay, who cares? So that's what the Mishnah deals with. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So getting back to our Mishnah, so now the Mishnah is going to tell us all about mazik. Yes?
Not all of them.
Yeah.
I know you want Mishnah.
Eliezer, you're on.
Okay.
First couple of statements. Let's begin to think. Go ahead.
Okay. So we're starting on the Mishnah.
Yes. Now we're in it. Because we have enough ideas to get into it.
Yeah. Arba Avos Lezikim. There are four main categories.
Stop. Oh, okay. No. Give me the four.
Shor.
Ox.
That is.
Well, that means ox. It means ox.
Yeah. Shor, Bor is a
The
pit.
pit.
Maveh, which is the machlokus, what that means.
Okay, but let's take something. Let's say it's a shame. The teeth.
Okay. The heather, fire.
Heather is fine. Great. So what is the Talmud telling me?
But I'm not. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, but all four
Yeah.
is not that Odom. It's lichora, according to one opinion.
Yeah.
They're not. If you say that Maveh is shame,
Yeah.
then all four of them is not the person himself directly doing damage, but they are but there are things that belong to somebody who's doing the damage.
It's possessions.
Possessions doing the damage, according to this, and I think it's shmor. So, shor is somebody's bull, maybe goring or something like that. It's not the man himself goring.
Yes.
Habor is a pit. Again,
So
somebody digs a pit.
So you've mentioned an important idea. Give me its structure. I mean, say something about it.
In other words,
This.
Tell me. What the Mishnah is already introducing
Yes.
is the idea that in order to commit nezek, to commit the offence of nezek, it doesn't require just that the person himself directly, like with his own body, to damage, but he uses there's another agent.
So therefore, the Mishnah informs you based on this what?
That one can be equally chayav.
No, forget chayav. That there are two types of mazikim.
Two types of mazik.
You can be a direct mazik or an indirect mazik. You want. It's the concept that you don't have to do a hezek directly. You can do it indirectly. How? Right? So the Mishnah points out by your possessions.
Right.
You didn't do it. What do you want from me? It's my possession. That's the concept of an indirect mazik. That's an important idea. That's number one. Because you would think that I didn't do it, so what do you want from me?
This is all built on one Havrim in the Gemara, because according to another...
Fine. Those ideas simply means what's included in the term.
Okay.
That's all it means, So we'll just pick one, you know what I'm saying? So we picked shor is ox, spore is pit, mava is teeth, and hever is fire.
Right.
Let's work that way, okay?
Okay.
And so, but what you point out is correct, that it indicates something.
Yeah.
And what does it indicate?
The indirect...
There's a concept of
indirect
mazik, direct mazik, and indirect. That's very important.
And they're equal.
That you don't have to do the hezek to be obligated. That's the concept of an indirect mazik.
Yeah.
Look, we're deriving ideas. You see? So this is what the Mishnah is saying.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't, the Mishnah said four, but what it's saying is that there are two types of mazikim.
Yes.
Direct or indirect. Number one. Okay.
That the indirect mazikim can be divided up into four categories.
Yes.
And the category of shor...
Yeah, which we went through now.
Right.
What do we think about here?
And
What's there to think about here? There's something wrong with this statement. I shouldn't say wrong, but there's something that screams at us.
well, we know that there are many, many more mazikim than four.
Then why does it say four?
There's something about these four that are unique.
Oh, what is it?
They all come from the same part of the Torah, from the same sukkim,
No.
very close to each
That,
other.
no, I wouldn't make it.
Or that they are all issues of your possessions, causing either direct damage or indirect damage, or they involve an escape going from your rishus to somebody else's rishus.
But there's something else. Why
Yes,
are these
yeah,
unique?
that's
Escape.
Why are these unique?
They
They're
all
all
pay
prone.
100% of the damage.
You could guard against all these four.
What?
They're not something you do delivery. You could guard against all these four types of
But
situations.
they are
No,
all,
that would be unique about, that would be true of all masik.
Yeah,
You've got to guard against them.
they are all prone.
What did you say, Larry?
I said that all of them require 100% payment for the damage.
Is that, these four?
These four.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
so,
These are four
No.
categories. These are four
Excuse me.
categories.
No.
now,
Regular is potten of shusurabim, so
Yeah,
shame.
So,
That's not 100%
Excuse me.
we're
damage.
talking about damaging something in...
But every
somebody's
mazik
property.
requires,
I-
wait a minute, every mazik requires 100%.
No,
Excuse me.
a tam and a muad and goring are two different things.
Fine, but basically, if you're a mazik, you got to pay.
okay,
It happens to be, we'll get into time and wood. You always have to pay, basically. A tam is an exception, right?
Yes.
But what do we have? You have shor, bor, mav, and hever, right?
yes.
I don't see Karen in here, do you?
Or-
You don't have
No,
to.
because it doesn't discuss goring at all.
No, but why are there four? Every mazik is
Yeah,
Four
100%.
categories, main categories.
So therefore, it should say, ovas nezikin.
Yeah.
Why arba ovas nezikin?
Okay, excuse me,
What-
can I
Go ahead,
suggest
sure, of course.
that these four...
Yeah,
by
yeah,
nat-
Kasha?
Yeah,
What's this for business?
yeah, these four are uniquely prone, much more prone to damage, Daukon Hazik, than other forms, than other things. In other words, there's certain things like Shveisvus. I'm just trying to think of something. maybe I shouldn't even try to think, but there are certain things that you don't expect it, that you don't, yes, let me explain.
Yes.
If you put a shore is known sometimes to gore. It has
Yes.
wanting to be aggressive.
Yes.
A butterfly, right? That would be a good example. It's not prone by its nature, or a little pigeon. It's not by its nature prone to attack anybody. So if somebody has a butterfly, and that butterfly attacks,
But I don't understand. There are many things that are prone to do damage.
yeah, they
So
will,
why are there only 4?
because these are overall categories. For example, a pit, right? I mean, that would come to cover putting a chair or something in a shusarabim in a way that could cause people to trip over. That's under the general category of bor. In other words, those arba ovos nazikim represent, they cover. Each one covers a whole range of different things, but they are broad categories that cover those things, those items that are significantly prone enough to cause damage that we have to take reasonable steps to protect the public from being damaged by them.
I want to tell you something. Any mazik is prone, basically.
Yeah,
I would never say 4. There are millions of different types of mazik. I would never say there are 4.
these are the
Categories.
These are
Even if they're categories.
These are broad categories. For example, if I may say,
It's not just a shore, it's the shore represents a category of damage that this
Or
falls.
there's many things that fall under for sure. Can I explain?
I'll give you a mazik that's not there.
Okay.
How's that? I have a pet tiger in my house.
A pit what?
Tiger.
That's more.
And that's
Not
an unnatural,
sure.
that's
That
an
would be
unnatural
unnatural.
use of land, and that's another type of disease.
That's discussed in the Mishnah.
What type of a mazik is a
Sure.
tiger?
Sure.
It's not a shore.
It's not
It
a
look
shore,
like an
it's,
ox.
it's under category of shore.
No,
No.
no, it's not.
No,
It's a
it's
completely
not
different
true.
category.
Exactly, it's another mazik. What is it? It's not a shore.
It's
Not
not
a
a shore,
bore.
it's under the
Not a
shore.
marble
does-
heaven. What is
excuse me, a shore
Well, if you
in the
trip
Mishnah
over it, then it
does
isn't.
not mean, shore in the Mishnah does not mean bull. It's a
But
it's
what?
a name, shore in the Mishnah
Ox, yeah.
does not mean an ox. It does mean ox literally, but
So what does it mean?
it's a category
Of what?
of aggressive, of animals that are prone to be aggressive, such as, now,
What is shore in the Mishnah? What is it? Give me the
it's a
example.
machlokas of what it means, but let's say one
If it
is,
means regular, is regular aggressive?
well, it depends how you want to see it, because according to,
Regular is not
according to
aggressive.
no, because
An animal is walking in the Rishus around, right? An animal doesn't walk, couldn't care less. And all of a sudden steps on your kalim. I don't see any aggression there.
well, it says shalosh avos nemru b'shor, which implies,
Forget Karen. Look at regal, because shore really is regal, basically. Okay? I don't see regal as aggressive.
no, the regal isn't aggressive, but I mean, it's,
Look,
They're taking on a
it's
particular
bothersome.
element in the
You
Gemara.
mean to tell me of the entire world, there's only 4 categories? That's incredible. I just think about that. How could you categorize anything in the world that can damage as one of these 4? That's an astounding statement.
the interesting, the Gemara does ask that, and it adds an extra 2.
What is,
It adds an
Extra
extra
20,
2
actually,
because
isn't it?
Karen is included in expressions later on in the Mishnah.
Okay.
So there's 6 of them actually.
you understand the problem here? You don't tell me every mazik in the world is included in these 4? Of course not.
You have to finish.
So why would the Mishnah say, give me a number?
So you have the general principle of the Av, and then you have the Tolda.
No, it should have just said Ovus Nezikim, not Arbor Ovus Nezikim. My question isn't on Ovus. Yeah, they're categories, no problem.
We can count.
But why are there 4?
Because it wants to also emphasize the responsibility side. Darka shmiro sonolecho and darkon the hazik. Now, there are plenty of other types of damages which are categorized, but they don't fall into the category
Well, sure
of...
they do. Any mazik is dark in the hazik, shmor sonolech, and you chayv the tashmi netzik. Why these 4? These 4 the only ones? Any way to do
No,
damage.
but you're not required on the same scale. I mean, for example, Hezek Re'eh wouldn't be assessed the same way as Shor.
Well, we don't know if it's a damage or not. It's a
Okay.
different issue.
Or take the example
Well,
of the
but if
tiger.
we establish something as a mazik, right? So why are there only 4?
Well, take the example of the tiger. It doesn't fit into the normal rules.
The who?
Tiger. The example of the
Yeah.
tiger.
So
It
my
doesn't, because you're not
tiger,
supposed to
I
have one in the
forgot.
first place.
Okay, so I have a tiger, right? And I forgot to feed it dinner. There it goes. Right? And all of a sudden I have a guest knocks at the house. And not only did I forget to feed it dinner, I forgot to put it back in its cage. And guess what? It's roaming my house. Now me and the tiger get along perfectly, no problem. But that's what you mean, the tiger. Guy walks in, and guess what? He's dinner. What kind of mazik was that? I hate to be so gory.
Instead of,
It wasn't fast.
instead of
brings home the
having
cold.
the main course,
That was
he
on
is
the
the main
shore.
course.
What?
It's on the shore.
It's a good guy. Well, what? Tell me what type of damage this guy was.
It's a living
Substantial.
thing causing damage.
He's known to be a danger. This animal is known to be a danger.
Yes.
It's like the shore was already gored. It's been warned. This owner was warned.
Just push
In a
it.
sense.
What is the uniqueness of Rego? What is the characteristic? Let's take a look at each one of these.
live thing.
It's certainly alive, Rego,
Right.
basically, right? But what is uniqueness? What characterizes?
Something living.
It can move
No,
from place to
we
place.
have you have
It moves on its own
Powers
accord.
Shane is teeth. I assume you guys know the
Can we just
Mishnah.
get the document that I had passed them before?
Oh, okay.
I reckon it's all in that.
Animation, non-animation.
What is the uniqueness? Each one has a uniqueness. What is it? What is the uniqueness of Rego?
Well, it's inadvertent damage by an animal.
Exactly. That's called derech hilucha. Hezeko derech hilucha. It doesn't even look at the object. It's not interested in the object. The object is incidental. In fact, how did the ox destroy the object? Because it wanted to destroy the object? No. Then how? In what way did the object destroy the Rego, the ox walking, destroy the object? What's the thrust of the characteristic?
Unintentionally. It was in the course
Of what?
of moving along, in the course of
That's-
its
So
regular
in
behavior.
in the course of
It's
its
normal
regular
activity.
existence, this got in the way. It doesn't even know it. You see these huge, they step on something. They don't even know they stepped on something. They're so humongous, and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they just stepped on somebody's Da Vinci vase. You know what I'm saying?
And
It was
also,
about $1.5 million. The ox looked at it. What do you want from me?
and also the whole thing is...
Or except on a Ming Dynasty vase, it's like one of a kind, right? No, so therefore, so that's the unique characteristic of that mazik. That mazik has absolutely no intent to damage. It's not even focused on the object. What's it doing? It is living. You see, and in the course of its living or striving or existing, that's damage.
Yeah.
That's its characteristics. What do we care?
What do you mean, what do we care?
Why do we care about its characteristic? Well, let's take another one. Shane. What's the characteristic of Shane?
Well, that's where the animal, it's basically destroyed through an animal's appetite, through consumption.
So what's the unique characteristic there?
It's not even consumption. It can roll around. I think if it rolls around and stretches,
Yeah, okay. So therefore, what are we talking about here?
fulfilling, well, in the course of fulfilling its desires, its natural desires,
Yeah?
it destroys, it
Oh,
damages.
so it fulfills its needs, whatever that is. You get its back scratched, you rub against the wall, and the wall topples, right? Or eating. In other words, it wants to use the object to fulfill its need, whatever it is. But it's focused on the object, but not focused on damage.
On the damage, right.
So the animal is thinking about the object already, and it's specifically using the object to do what? To fulfill some type of a need.
It's also within
That's
Rosh
the
Hashanah.
characteristic. What?
Also within Rosh Hashanah.
That's a condition.
Ah, okay.
Because it's just Rami Potter, right? Okay. Then we have what? So we have shore, which is regal, shane, right? And then we have bore, pit. What's the unique characteristic of bore or pit?
It's an obstacle. It's an obstacle in the way. It's a stationary obstacle.
It is stationary. That's true.
Although you can have a rolling bore,
Yes.
but it's an obstacle in the way. In other words, you're not talking about intent. You're not talking about fulfilling a need. and it could be something inanimate,
Yeah.
and it's something that causes a person to trip in the course of his walking. In other words,
Yes,
Yeah,
but again, you're using a case.
hazard. It's a hazard.
It's a hazard. You don't say a guy trips. That's a case. You can't. It is from its inception. It's a hazard. Yeah, that's what it means. Tchilas asiyos nezek. When it was created, it was a hazard.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Okay. And what about fire?
Well, it's moving. That's a form of
Not live.
self-propelled.
Doesn't
No, it's go. No, it's go.
Wind.
Ruach.
No, it's
Ruach.
wind
no,
propelled,
another
yeah.
koach.
That's what
It's a wind-propelled
mazik.
mazik.
So it needs a koyach acher,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't move based on its own energy and so on. It needs the assistance of something else. Fine.
Today you need a fifth form.
Who?
Today you need a fifth form, which is a self-propelled moving like a rocket, which is not ruach acher, the thing intrinsically.
Okay, okay. So we now understand what are the unique characteristics of each mazik, right?
Yes.
So my question to you is, so what? So what?
They master the state of mind.
No. Yeah, question, because you notice that,
So every form of mazik will share one of these attributes.
well, who cares? Why are we
That's why there's only
why are we
four.
so fixated on a characteristic of a mazik?
Different halachas.
What?
They're different halachas.
Say that again.
Different halachas.
So maybe that's why there are only four. Maybe the Mishnah says there are only four mazikim that deviate from the real concept of mazik. What's the real legal consequence of mazik? You're chayev 100% all the time.
Except in this case.
Except these types of mazikim are not chayev all the time. They clearly deviate
Only
from
one.
the concept. What?
Only. Oh, just a minute. Only Karen deviates from Chetzi Nezik.
No.
Or maybe Chetzi Nezik.
Shane and Regel is potter and Shusarabim.
Ah.
War is potter by Kalim. Or right? And Aish is potter by Toman. If it's concealed out there. Wow. It's it's what's called a deviant mazik. And there are only four types. That's why. So that answers the question. Of course there are millions of mazikim. But there are only four that deviate from the standard mazik. You see. That's what you want. So how do we arrive at this? Because you asked the kasha, four? Why only four? And that's what the Mishnah says. There are four mazikim that deviate from the standard payment schedule of a mazik. They're potter in some given circumstance. What determines their patur? Their unique characteristic. This is the problem.
It's interesting the Mishnah doesn't mention that, does it? It says it's had a shamash abahem.
Wait. Now, so the Mishnah says there are four mazikim, and not only are mazikim, they're really categories. Therefore, if it tells you it's a category, what is it really saying?
There are many more. There are many mazikim that fall under these four categories.
That's the consequence.
So it
of what
fits
is
in
it saying.
the structure.
If I call something a category, what am I really saying?
It's a qual.
That's the translation.
I know.
What am I saying?
You're saying
If I say,
one and
hey, this is a
unrelated.
category, what am I really saying?
that there's a structure.
No.
No, the one.
No, that's a category.
You're saying that it's a subsystem within the system, in that each of Nazikin has it's a subsystem, and each one has got specific rules and regulations.
Almost, but not all there. Almost, but they're not there yet. What am I saying if something is a category? What you're saying is true. That if it's a category, that means there's a subsystem or sub-members, whatever you want to call it. Fine. But what am I really saying?
There's a relationship. A category is...
What is the relationship?
Within that category, there has to be a relationship with the items in that category.
What is the relationship? What does it mean to say something is a category? What's
Yeah, they're all governed by the same rules and regulations.
What does that mean? What are the rules and regulations? Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So regular, for example.
Why?
Okay, regular.
Why are they all? What makes this a category? Or what? When I say category, what am I really saying? And therefore, there's a subset, and they're all governed. Why? What's the principle of a category?
Principal category is that
What makes it a category? Not what makes it, but when I call something a category, what am I really saying?
it's also
A malach and Shabbos, yeah? A malach and Shabbos, Zoreh,
It's
right?
also different than the other.
Wait, so let's say malach and Shabbos, of malachas. In Shabbos, where else do you find overs? Right? Let's say Shabbos, right? Zoreh, I plant. So I say, well, planting is a category. So I include a lot of stuff under that. I can water the garden, that's also Zoreh. How? Not how, but, so therefore when I call something that's a category, what am I really saying that therefore demands, a subset, and demands that the laws of the subset are identical, uniform? What am I saying?
Share a common characteristic. Share a common characteristic.
Keep going. You're almost there. You know, when I say something, when I say Kokai, you know what I'm really saying? I'm saying that what makes this a mazik isn't a specific case. It is a principle in the case that determines its ability to mechayev you. And therefore, any other case that will have this specific or principle is included as a member of this category. See, what a category does is it takes it out. Don't look at this case. You see, look at what's in the case, and that's the determinant for the chiyuv. Therefore, any other case that will have that determinant or that principle is also chayav. That's what it does. In other words, it tells me, don't look at this specific case.
Look at its character.
Look at the principle in the case, which in this case happens to be its character trait, and that determines the chiyuv, not the case. It's the principle. Therefore, any other case that has the same principle will also be chayav, identical. See that?
But that would be a Torah, wouldn't it?
Exactly. That's called a tolda.
That's the distinction between an Av and a Torah.
What is the difference between an of and a tolda, really?
So, same thing. I mean, except that
So why-
the Av is the case from where the principle is derived, and also
Good.
cases that have those characteristics.
That's
are
it.
Torahs.
The of is the teacher, the illustrator of the principle.
So
It's not unique in itself. It is only unique that I will show you what the problem here is. You
it's
see?
the illustrator.
Exact. And therefore, if it's an illustrator, anything that illustrates that principle, bam, is chayav. In other words, it removes the shift from itself as an individual case and says, don't look at me as a case, as an individual. Look at me as an illustrator of a principle. That's the determinant for chiyuv, and therefore anything that has that principle is chayav just like me. That's what it means to be an of. You see what I'm saying? And therefore, when you have an of, it becomes a what? It's a category, and the of is only a member of the category. But it's an important member because it illustrates the principle. That's why it's called an of. But it has no other uniqueness than any of its told us. It's just that it is the case that the Torah used to illustrate the principle. That's what an of is.
And an example
Now we
of
gotta
that
find
would
out,
be-
so what's the principle? See, if this is an of, what must we do? What's the principle? You see, once the Torah said, well, this is not just a mazik, this is a mazik category. So all of a sudden I need to do what? I gotta find out what the principle is. Because it's not the case that's unique, it's the principle that is the determinant. You see? So therefore I gotta find out the principle. And not only is the principle that defines the category, but it also creates the deviation. You see?
What does that mean, creates a deviation?
It makes it different than regular mazik.
Yes.
You see? So we now realize an incredible idea, that there are two fundamental classes of mazik. What are they? There's mazik that doesn't deviate from tashlumim, and there's mazikim that do deviate.
What's an example one which doesn't deviate?
My tiger. My tiger, that's why I brought it. My tiger is a classic mazik. It's always chayav.
It's Bishus and Nizik.
No, tiger, anywhere it's chayav.
In your home,
If it's in my own premise,
That's a different.
If you have something like a tag,
If you let a tiger go loose in the street, you're
So that's a different.
isn't it that the only case
That B'shus Mazik is a general exclusion of all mazik. I'm talking about it's only an exclusion on these four. No, because mazik has exclusions general, but that's not what this Mishnah is. This Mishnah is saying that these four mazikim, right, have conditions where they're potter, whereas all the other mazikim are chayav. Hey, that's not fair. But the question is, what makes them potter? What is the determining principle? So, take a look.
Yes.
If something strives naturally, and in the course of living, it damages, yes? So where is it potter? In Rosh Hashanah.
Kessin as it's true.
No, forget that. No, that's difficult. That's because the next
Shane
is
is
indirect.
Shane is completely potter.
It's who?
Shane is potter.
Yes, also. Why? Shane is potter Rosh Hashanah. That's right.
Because there's no bias on something that's left in Rosh Hashanah.
No.
If you've left something in Rosh Hashanah and made it hefka, there's no bias.
What do you mean no bias? Of course there is.
It's hefka. It's hefka.
It's not hefka. It's your animal. What are you talking about? You own it. What are you doing? Your animal just stepped on my Da Vinci vase.
Shouldn't be put in the Shus
Well, yeah, what did he
Because-
at the beginning?
because
You know,
you-
animals come.
Because you don't have that right on the Rosh Hashanah to put your Da Vinci vase there.
Why?
Because the Rosh
Be a
Hashanah
bore.
gives Rosh
Right.
to me
It's
as
a
well
bore.
as Rosh to you. That's the meaning of Rosh Hashanah.
Exactly. It's public.
Our right.
So the
to say.
Torah said, listen, this is public usage, and so it's one thing, so if it's public usage, I have a right to use it as you. Oh, fine, okay. So therefore, if it's public, if the damage is done in a way which is striving, how can a nizik protect himself? He can't, because this was done in the context of an animal's normal living. So I can't protect myself. You ever see, you ever go to the India, they're walking with their water buffaloes in the middle of the street, So then the question is, who is obligated to watch? Who? Is the mazik obligated to watch his animal in a Rosh Hashanah? Or it's not realistic. The Torah said, I cannot impose on the mazik to watch. Therefore, the one who has to watch is the nizik.
That's
So
in the
therefore
case
the
of-
mazik is potter.
But that's in the case of regal,
Yeah, and shame.
but not to Karen.
That's different. Hold off Karen and
That's a different set of rules.
That's a different set.
But the case that the
Let's go
Mishnah
slow.
gives is the case of regal, which is the case of regal and possibly shame.
Well, show would be regal, and mav would be shame.
Now, the Mishnah, I'm talking about the Mishnah Haminiach Zakad B'Shus Rabbi, which is sort of Uvochet B'Niskal,
Yeah.
ways up the right
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
the Nazik, the Nizik, and the Mazik.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
who's up bought? Balachov is Chayav B'Niskal.
The Baal HaChovos is chayav b'nitzkoi. Yeah, okay.
Right, which shows that there is that the Chazal are very careful when they weigh up the rights of the Mazik and the Nizik.
Exactly.
When damage is caused in a place where both of them have equal rights over.
Yes, so therefore, but what's the determinant on who's chayav? Really? What's the determining principle who's chayav?
Rights. The rights of each one.
What right?
The rights
What
to
is
go,
the
Rosh Hashanah.
fundamental determining principle on who is chayav?
who's the one that should be having shlita over their object?
Almost. No. That's a second
Shmirasa.
principle. Who?
No, the
What did you
Shmirasa
say?
Alecha.
The other is Shmira. Who's obligated Shmira? That's it. The one who's going to be chayav is who's obligated to watch it. So that, right? Now, normally, who's the natural person that's obligated? Who?
The owner.
The owner. Because why? Why does the owner, the guy who has to watch it?
You're responsible.
It's
for your
his
stuff.
soul.
Why is he responsible?
Because he's the one
Yeah,
that has
tends to
shlita.
Because what?
Because he's
Why is the owner responsible? What do you want from me? You want something? Hey, talk to my animal. Make him pay you.
Because he's the one that has control.
Control. There you go. Yeah. If you have the legal right of control, then you need to watch it. I can't watch your animal. I don't have control over this. If I did watch it, I'd be a ganav or gazlan. So the whole thing starts from bias. And therefore, Bailus dictates what? Or Bailus allows control. And control demands shmira. And shmira is the principle for chiyuv. You see how it goes one after the other?
Because Rabbi,
You see?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's linked to the question I was, if you could back up and talk about the deviation.
Yeah.
That stems from the interruption of ownership, right? Yeah, I mean, why
Well,
these
a
four
massive-
abos nezikin, why these abos nezikin are deviations from the general rule?
Of what?
Of what exactly? That's
No,
where I'm
of
having trouble.
payment. Of payment.
Payment.
They deviate from the normal payment.
Well, what?
Because
where
they
do
are
you-
hotter in certain
So where do you learn?
circumstances.
Where do we know those?
From the Torah. That we know that from the Torah. Uvia b'stei acher. Each one of these exemptions is a posel. Uvia b'stei acher, and he will, consume in another's field, but not in the Shusarah. Each one of these things have a limudim.
So these are deviations from what
Yeah,
you would
deviations
learn.
from the normal payment of a mazik. So weird when the Mishnah says Abba Zika, what it's really saying? There are four categories of special mazik, which means that there are two types of mazikim.
But there's really only one category where there's no deviation at all.
Yes.
And that's only
Tiger.
Adam Mazik.
No, there's also tiger.
Oh, yeah, but an Adam
There's
is
no
kind
way that
in
tiger-
every reshus, in every form.
So is a
A
tiger.
tiger is in every reshus.
Yeah, you let him go wild on the street.
Again, if he's in my reshus,
No, if you
I'm
let-
the bottom of this object,
No, if
of
you
this
let-
tiger,
if I let
and
that-
someone comes into my
Wait a minute,
reshus,
tell me when a tiger is
I'm
potter.
potter.
How? No, that's all mazikim are potter. But let's say I'm walking with a tiger in Rishus Harabim.
But Adam is not butter if he's mazik someone even in his own reshus.
In his own Rishus?
Yeah.
What do you mean? If you walk into my house,
Someone walk.
are you sure?
I walk into your house, and
In the middle of the night?
chas you come and you damage me or my object. You're not chayiv.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to do that even if he's in your house. Well, that
that is the base.
the tiger.
So the guy comes to the door with a shotgun and blows it before he opens the
So
door and kills
therefore,
the
that's a
tiger.
matter of, are you trespassing? Well,
See,
you
that's-
know, are you trespassing or not? What are you doing here? I told you get out.
Yeah, but if you invite him in, and you
Yeah,
got
it's-
a tiger running around.
Yeah, okay.
Trespass is necessary.
All I'm saying is this, look, there's a lot of different variations. All I'm saying is that fundamentally, there are two types of mazik. One is the special mazik, which is the Mishnah. That's what it's really saying. And there's what's called general mazik or standard mazik, where there are no exemptions. And if there's an exemption by that, that exemption would carry on all mazikim. That's okay. You know, every mazik has some times when they're potter, but it's potter not because of unique characteristic. It's potter because of the class. This is not hezek, or it's not hezek, which is responsible, shmira. You can distinguish between the
So,
two.
in other words, it's sort
But
of
these mazikim are potter because of the unique characteristics in them, not because of general mazik.
Outside.
No, there are special deviational. You see what I'm saying? This is what the Mishnah is saying. That there are four categories of mazik that deviate from tashlumim, not because of the exemptions of a general mazik, because they, in and of themselves, in terms of the characteristics, potter them. Wow, it's a different Mishnah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that Mishnah. There are four classes of mazik. Yeah, okay. No, there are not. You see, but there are not. There are only four classes of special mazik. That the characteristics in and of themselves will exempt them or deviate.
So could one arrange the information like this? That the main category is
What?
Odom. The main category, if you like, the main definer of Hezek, or the main category, is Odom, because Odom would La'olam. Just like a person.
No. The main category is no. What is a mazik? Give me the definition of a mazik.
Somebody who is capable, somebody, we're talking about a force which actually interferes with the rights of somebody adversely, something that interferes adversely with the rights of the other.
Great.
Okay, that's a mazik.
Not really.
No, have I lost it?
You left one incredible ingredient out.
Adversely affects.
Oh, well, no, no. Let me ask you something. What is Karen? What exactly is Karen? Tell me. Is Karen a mazik?
Yeah.
What do you think? I certainly looks that way. What is Karen? Tell me exactly. What is Karen really? We know the case. You have an animal, and all of a sudden he gores. He sees another ox.
He's normally docile.
What?
He's normally docile.
What are you saying?
He's changed his character.
So therefore what? So what?
So is it here to shameh?
No,
It's not
what-
normal.
How does that change?
It wasn't predictable.
Exactly. What does predictability do?
Chiyuv
What does
shver.
it create?
Chiyuv shver.
Right.
Wait, no, there's something in between. If I know something is predictable, yes? So therefore, what does that establish, really?
Obligation.
Responsible.
Why?
Because if it's likely that something was going to happen, then you have to be responsible to prevent it in advance. You have to take necessary precautions.
What does likely mean? What does likely mean?
It's
Therefore what?
It's relating to me as Bailing, to my knowledge of its damaging.
What does it mean to be likely? So much. What's likely? So
Predictable.
okay. There's an expectancy that this animal will do damage. Or an expectancy. So therefore, what's the definition of mazik? One. It's an object that can do damage, and it will do damage. Therefore, you need to watch it. Where do you find this definition? Where do you find it? Where? Isn't that in the Mishnah?
So dark on the hazard. So in other words, it belongs to the main. The exceptions belong. This is what brings it together with the. With
But
the
it's more than that. What the Mishnah is doing is defining general mazik. That's what I mean. Hatzar shova shebehem. That what? That it's not lahazik. It's dark lahazik. That's the concept of expectancy, and therefore shmiras alecha. Right. So therefore, what's a Karen? What is Karen really? All of a sudden I have this nice docile animal. Really nice, you know. My kids play with it. You know what I'm saying? I play with it. Fabulous. All of a sudden- What? Who?
Because
So
we
it's
have
not
dark.
dark.
No,
It's
that's
not
the
dark.
point.
It's not
It's
dark.
for that reason.
So
that
therefore-
the Torah says that it's only as a result of previous behaviors that it can be established as dark
It's only
It has
from
to be
previous that it can be
established.
one. And therefore, if it's established, it is expected.
Although there's
Now, let me ask you something. I got a goat. I got an ox. I got an ox, right? I have an ox, right? And, I'm walking along with Shusara, yes? And all of a sudden the ox somebody's walking with a pole. He's got he just bought a $500 Barney suit. But I think a Barney's costs more than that.
I think you're talking.
And I walk along, and all of a sudden this ox, he's behind me, right? It was just around, right? The ox sees his clothing. He says, "Wow, I'm hungry," and he starts munching on my suit. What's the mazik?
Shame.
What type of a mazik is it?
No, it'd be Karen. It's not shame.
Karen. Oh, wait a minute, but the ox is enjoying the food.
Yeah.
He's a no lezeko.
No, because that's only shemur.
No. So what's the problem here?
Because
It's mishuneh.
Yeah.
What does mishuneh mean? It's
Not
not expected.
expected.
So Karen isn't a mazik. It's the concept of unexpectedness in any mazik.
Why just that means if I have a
You hear what I just said?
Yes, excuse me.
Karen, people make a mistake. They think, well, Karen means you're an animal gourd. No, that is an illustration of an unexpected mazik, and therefore it is chatzinezek.
Excuse me.
So therefore, anything unexpected is Karen. Therefore, Karen is not a mazik. It's not a thing, it's not a case which have a specific characteristic. It is the concept of unexpectedness in any mazik that will make it chayav chatzinesik.
Excuse me, but surely there's a difference between a bull...
Did you say surely?
I heard that.
There's a difference between a shore that is tam, that's never done any damage,
Yes.
is unexpected,
That's
and a butterfly,
Yeah,
that suddenly, I keep him in an aquarium,
yeah.
and then one day, this little nothing butterfly smashes through the glass,
What is-
and then starts breaking down somebody's house.
Great, so what have you just...
The difference...
Sounds like a very angry butterfly.
It's a Japanese movie. The difference between the two is that we know
It must be some type of a rear African butterfly. It's what's called it's a whole species of aggressive bees.
Yes.
And they go bananas, it's a new form of butterfly.
So in other words, I would say that there's a difference, there's a big difference between a docile bull and a butterfly.
Yes.
Because a
What's
docile
the
bull
difference?
has the potential.
So what's
of
the
becoming-
difference?
The difference
Tell me
is-
the difference.
In practical terms, a docile bull has the potential through its nature to become...
Summarize it into a principle. Give me the principle. You're giving me the case.
Okay.
Remember, don't stick with a case. Generalize it into a principle.
Predictability.
What's the difference between the butterfly?
Potential.
What's the difference
Totally
between
unpredictable.
the butterfly and the ox?
Totally unpredictable.
Who?
Totally unpredictable.
True, but
No.
give me the principle.
It is a
Darfan.
natural.
What?
It is a natural attribute of the animal to do this.
Yes.
It's not
Give me
The
expected.
capacity.
Give me,
Um,
say it, claw. You're right, but I need, say it.
It all has to do with the Shmiros on Alecha.
That's the product, that's the consequence. But
Darfan.
what is it? What is the difference in principle between a butterfly and an ox?
Butterfly doesn't have a horn.
No, but that's the point.
You have not seen some butterflies.
Yeah. That's true.
No, a
Naive.
butterfly has no ability, no potential ability to do
So
any damage.
therefore, what
that's
is
not
the
true.
principle?
No, not in terms of aggressive.
Yeah,
We're talking
no,
about
it's
aggressive
not.
behavior.
Capability.
Of course it can do damage
It
in
can
some
do
nature.
damage.
We're talking about
You guys,
aggressive behavior specifically.
Now, I think the principle is that the thing is that there are three categories of mazikim. Those who it is their nature to always cause damage and they're utterly predictable. Next level is it is not their usual nature to cause damage, but
It could
they
happen.
might. It could happen.
Yes.
That's where tamamur come in. And then you have the third category where
Which
there's
is-
no way that there's no way that the thing could have been forecast.
It could never be anticipated.
Could never be. Was what I
So
meant.
what have you described? 3 examples of,
Responsibility.
that's the consequence.
Of damaging forces.
of expectation.
I mean, our expectation.
There are degrees of expectancy.
Yeah.
That's what it is. There are degrees of there are some animals which are, hey, my tiger is expected totally to do damage. Then there's a less degree of expectancy, right? Which is called infrequent. And that is a domesticated animal.
It's where tamamur come in.
Yes. So what is a tamur? A tamur is nothing more a statement about a degree of expectancy in this animal. You see, so in animals which are, so a tiger is frequent, because that's its nature. An ox which is domestic is infrequent. And a butterfly is rare.
So what's the
It's
halacha?
impossible.
Wait.
What's the halacha of
Therefore, what's the
rare?
difference between these three? The difference is to what degree of expectancy is there. That's what Karen is. If it's rare, you are pata, you're an onus.
Frequency.
If it's frequent, you are chayiv, because shmir selecha. But if it's infrequent, you go either way. It's chatzinezik.
Yeah.
And there's a machlekes. Why you chayiv chatzinezik? So one guy says, it's a machlekes in the Gemara. Really, you should be chayav nezik sholim, because even infrequency needs a shmira. But the Torah was chos. Or the other guy said, really, you should be pata.
But
But
It's a canal.
watch it but since there's a statistical probability,
Yes.
even if low, that it could. You should have watched. So you can go either way. That's true. But
Could I ask you-
wait 1 second. But the Mendel is the measure of the category is the degree of expectancy. That's it. And that's what a tam and muad is. A tam reflects the degree of expectancy. That's what I mean. To be a tam means no expectancy or poor, and expectancy means yes. So therefore, the Torah said, listen, okay, it's chatzinezik, but so the question is, so when does this animal become expected? 3 times.
The Torah
The
says
Torah is
three
giving
times.
you a rule
Yeah.
that if it does it 3 times, now it becomes a muad, which is general mazik. It enters the class of general mazik. There's no more hepaturia, because you see, so it comes out that Karen is not a mazik. It is nothing more than a degree of expectancy which is infrequent. And therefore the Torah deals with that halachically. You see? Which people make a mistake. Oh, Karen is a mazik, and they tell you, what's the mazik? Kavanas lahazik, but it's not the Torah uses an ox that has as an illustrator of expectancy degrees.
The Gemara said Kavanas.
Yeah, because that's the illustrator. That's the illustrator of the concept of Talmud. Kavanus of a hazik by a domestic animal is infrequent. We're not talking about an animal in the forest. You're talking about a domestic animal that works around human beings or works around other oxen. You see, why should we think? Why talking about a wild animal that the only thing it looks at is how to eat and kill? A domestic animal socializes with other oxen. In fact, some of its best friends are other oxen. And it's got a girlfriend that's an ox. Or a bull. No, the bull is the male. Yeah. It's cow. Yeah. So, I'm like, what'd you kill your cow for? It's your girlfriend. What are you doing?
When I ask you,
That's why it's infrequent. It's not expected. It socializes with these
But if
things.
he's a muad to Gor, it doesn't change his status as to other things that he's not a muad to.
No, only to Gori. And so even when it establishes its credibility or its bona fides, as they say, as a muad, it's only in whatever it expressed it. Because in everything else, it's still unexpected. You see? It says, look at what the Mishnah is, a different Mishnah. The Mishnah Abav's Nazikin is what? There are 4 special mazikim that deviate from the normal standard of kashlumim. 1, how do we identify them? Through their principles, not their cases. And it is the principles themselves that cause the deviation. Sometimes, although Aish is hard to understand. Why is it if the thing is concealed? You fought, burnt the guy's house down. Who cares if all the furniture was concealed? Whatever, there's Gzeres HaKosav also. But the key is we need to identify that mazik that has a deviation from normal hezek. See? So that's what the Mishnah says. Now, we're into Loy Harei. Now we really understand the first 4 mazikim. Now the next thing the Mishnah says is Loy Harei Zeh Kar Zeh. You want to ask something?
yeah,
Yeah.
something is totally unexpected. Sometimes a butterfly.
Yeah.
What happens after 3 times? No, I'm trying to
Get out of that town.
No,
He became a larva.
we're talking about where it's after 3 times.
Then
There is
larva
a
stage.
possibility.
that's a muad.
So it becomes a muad.
He's
Sure.
unborn.
Because it is proven
So it's not,
that
it falls into the category of the second one. Then.
of muad, not tam.
A muad.
Yeah.
No. So I'm saying then it's really 2 categories.
Which
One
is
that is always like a tiger,
yeah, or
one that it's not, we don't know, not expected.
it's unexpected, and
Yeah,
the other
but,
one is called rare.
but above point, nobody would expect.
That's
at
why
all.
that's why it's an onus.
So after 3 times, it becomes what?
A muad.
It does become a muad?
Sure, because that 3-time behavior establishes a pattern, and once it establishes a pattern,
Right, and
it
then I have
establishes
another
an
question.
expectancy.
Why do you have Rahmanas on the Mazik? Why don't you have Rahmanas on the Nizik?
Well, the mazik has to pay the nizik.
Yeah, but the Nizik took a loss.
Yeah, so you have to pay him.
Yeah, good. So why, you said the Torah had Rahmanas because that's why it's...
Oh, you mean by Tom?
By Tom. So that's why he only pays half, because he has
Yeah.
Rahmanas.
Yeah.
Why don't you have Rahmanas on the Nizik?
Because you have to remember, in the end, what determines
He did damage, he cost him
No,
$100 damage, he only gets 50.
But
So
there
he
has
takes
to
the
be,
loss of 50.
okay,
Yeah.
but there has to be some type of negligence. You have to have violated your shmirah. And if the Torah doesn't give you shmirah, you're potter. What do you want from me? I'm not mechuyev to war. The whole thing hinges on shmirah.
But in the bottom line...
Without shmirah, you're
yeah,
potter.
but in the bottom line, the nizik takes a $50 loss.
Yes, but if I'm not obligated to watch it, the Torah says you're not obligated. What do you want from me? I'm not obligated to watch it, so therefore I'm potter. It's true, you're right. The guy has a loss, you're right. But in order to obligate somebody to pay, he has to be responsible. And if he is not obligated to watch it, the Torah removed from him the responsibility of shmirah, and therefore, which is, you actually bring up a very interesting concept. If I have no obligation whatsoever to watch it, is there any case where I'm still held responsible? Because, not that I'm held responsible. And by the way, there is. If your ox ate somebody else's food, and therefore you don't have to pay, you don't have to give dinner to your ox, because you now just got
You've gotten the
filled
benefit.
You
with
have
somebody
to
else's
reimburse
food.
for the,
You've gotten the
That's hano.
Right.
Not because
That's
you
hano.
that's because you benefited,
Right.
not because you were mazik.
Right, okay.
There's two different ways of going here. You benefit from it. Hey, come on, you benefited, so you're obligated to pay. But you have to pay because hano, you benefited, not because
That's
you
not damage.
violated your shmirah. Two different directions here. You know what I'm saying?
I was always thinking about also the case.
I want to get the loy harei. Yeah. The next loy harei zeh karei zeh. Right? They have a whole bunch of these loy hareis. Right? Who cares? What's this an academic? What?
Because we're asking...
Why is the Mishnah saying that the characteristics of, let's say, Shor and Maveh, which have Ruach HaChaim, is not like a ball, let's say, that doesn't have Ruach HaChaim, or whatever, right? Or an Eish, whatever,
Right.
right? So what?
It's delineating why it is that you need to list 4 categories and not less.
So, what, you mean in the Mishnah?
Yeah, the Mishnah is clarifying as to why it is
No.
we need 4 categories. Because in other words,
Torah.
why can't we get away in the Torah? Why can't we just have 1 or 2 or 3 categories? It's explaining that you need all 4
Where?
categories.
Where would those categories be written? Where? Where?
In the Torah
In the
itself.
Mishnah?
It's a
In the
good
Torah
question.
itself. So therefore, what is the issue here?
It's explaining...
What is the issue?
Derivation.
Derivation. If the Torah had written Shor, you could not derive the others because they are exceptions. So therefore the Torah had to write all of them. That's what the Torah said. It's not possible. The derivation of any of these mazikim that are special mazik cannot be derived. You see? And therefore the Torah has to write all of them. So the Mishnah is saying, why can't they be derived? Because each one has a unique characteristic that we would say, well, this kind, Ruach Chaim, is what does it. You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
it's interesting that it doesn't explain, when it comes to Ruach Chaim, why you need both of those. When it comes to the Derek Kolele Kol Hazik, and what's the other one? The Bor, She'ein Derek Kolele Kol Hazik, and Ruach Chaim in general, then you know why, oh, that's got life, so that's different. But within the category of Sheish Ruach Chaim, the Mishnah doesn't give any indication as to why it is you need both of them. You understand? It says,
No,
they're
it
sharing
says that
any-
they have a
common,
characteristics that is enough for
characteristic.
me to exclude anything else.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that why can't you just have shor and not matter? And why can't you have matter and shor? That the Mishnah explicitly does not explain.
Doesn't
does not
say, yeah.
indicate.
It only goes when both of them together. That's
Yeah.
right, yeah. So, therefore, here's the classic illustration. What is being said and what is the Mishnah saying? You see, this is classic. What is being said? That the characteristics of these are not like the characteristics of that. That's what it says, right? But what's the man saying? The Tana is saying, therefore, I'm saying that you cannot derive one from the other. You see, but the Mishnah doesn't say that. That's why it's a classic why you need to understand what does it say besides what is being said. Then the Mishnah comes along with Tzara Shavish Behem. What's it doing there?
It should really be at the beginning. That's how it should open.
What?
That's how it should open.
It should open that way.
But the
Why?
way that-
What is that?
The reason
What is the Mishnah doing when it says Atzar Shavish Behem, Shadak Hazik, Ushmor Salecho? What is it saying?
What it's taking is it's taking it from the Torah level to the Mishnah level. Because it starts off with the cases in the Torah. Alba, obviously, music,
Yeah.
Ashur, Amaba,
Yeah, okay.
Heaven, and so on.
Yeah.
Then it says why the Torah needs to tell you
All four.
all those four. Then it says what is the context of which those things are, which is within the general rule of
What's a general? So what is it really doing? When it
Dar
says-
Kola Hazik Ushmiro Samalecha.
What is that?
That is saying, that places the context of saying that the cases in the Torah are the exceptions, but it is running against the background of general zikin, which is Dar Kola Hazik Ushmiro Samalecha.
What is that called?
Principle.
The principle. The general principle.
It's called the definition.
The definition.
That's what it is. The Tzara Shalom Hashem, don't think just because they're exceptions that they don't form the definition of mazik. They do. That's what it says. The general tzara, the general commonality, is they fall within the purview of mazik. And because they all conform to the definition, which is they do damage, and it's dark mazik. It's what it's expected, and therefore ushmiros alecha. The Mishnah is providing you a definition, and then the Mishnah goes into the last area. What? And when they do damage, what's the Mishnah saying?
You're chayav complete.
Yeah. So there you are. There are four different things the Mishnah is saying: division, derivation, definition, and disbursement. Four Ds.
Sorry, I'm just
Disbursement.
I need to take this down.
Payment.
One sec.
How did you disperse your funds? Four Ds.
Four
Division,
Ds, yeah.
Division, four.
Division.
Derivation, that you can't derive one from the other. These are the ideas, right? Definition, what is the general definition of mazik? And disbursement, payment. Four Ds.
Division. Did you say
Derivation,
derivation.
definition, and disbursement. So this mission is all about what? Everything you want to know about a mazik, we're afraid to ask. That's what this mission is about. Because it deals with four.
Definition and disbursement.
Because it's not, the central idea is what?